Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
This is one of the most famous moments in presidential history. Ronald Reagan is an icon, and this is arguably his most defining moment. I could spend all day looking at its historical significance or how it affected foreign policy, but instead I chose to look at how Reagan uses rhetoric. Before we keep going, I wanted to remind you to like and subscribe. I also wanted to ask, what's your favorite presidential speech? I know there's a lot of them and we'll be looking at one in this video, so I really want to hear from you. There's a little bit of a hurricane going by today, but I'm not going to let that stop us from talking about presidents. President Ronald Reagan was famous for his masterful use of rhetoric and charm to sell his ideas. At the height of the Cold War, Reagan's headstrong, anti-communist cowboy persona made him a strong symbol of Western democracy and capitalism.
That's why these children are practicing to duck and cover, just as you do in your school.
Since the end of World War II, Germany had been divided into two countries, one heavily influenced by the Soviet Union and the other by the West. Many East Germans fled to the West in order to seek more economic opportunities, leading the Soviets to set up the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall, which divided the capital city in two, became a representation of the Iron Curtain that laid across Europe, separating the two countries by their economic systems. Reagan is aware of his persona and the weight that it carries, leaning heavily into it and its credibility. In response to a decline in the Soviet economy, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev introduced a series of reforms called Glasnost, which were meant to open up the Soviet Union a little more. Reagan brilliantly highlights the reforms that were being implemented to the Soviet Union at the time by Gorbachev as evidence that their communist economic system wasn't working and that it would be best to go fully capitalist instead. This video isn't necessarily concerned with looking at the effect of the rhetoric on the audience, but more so looking at the speaker, in this case Reagan, and his motivations for creating the rhetoric itself. This is perfect for the Berlin Wall speech because Reagan has a very clear motivation in making it.
General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
In Reagan's speech, tearing down the Berlin Wall is the act. It is the climax of his speech and the most substantial effect he intends to bring about through the speech. The famous line is short and direct while also being bold and impactful. Politicians have a reputation of saying nothing of substance and being dishonest when they do say something. Such a blunt, direct, and unsugar-coated demand from Reagan was a very deliberate show of force that demonstrates his talent for rhetoric. What's interesting though is that Soviet leader Gorbachev is the agent. He's the antagonist in this scenario, and the person who Reagan orders to tear down the wall. Reagan may be the speaker, but Gorbachev is the only one who can perform the act.
And I invite Mr. Gorbachev, let us work to bring the eastern and western parts of the city closer together so that all the inhabitants of all Berlin can enjoy the benefits that come with life in one of the great cities of the world.
The president is making a very conscious decision to mention Gorbachev's name here instead of mentioning the Soviet Union as a whole. Reagan's intention on doing this is highlighting Gorbachev as the only person who could reunify Berlin. The series of reforms known as Glasnost is how Gorbachev attempted to address the waning power of the Soviet Union. Reagan has no intention of making Gorbachev look good, so he doesn't give Gorbachev any credit for enacting reforms that were desperately needed. Instead, the president turns it against the Soviet leader by saying,
"Are these the beginnings of profound changes in the Soviet state, or are they token gestures intended to raise false hopes in the West or to strengthen the Soviet system without changing it? We welcome change and openness, for we believe that freedom and security go together, that the advance of human liberty can only strengthen the cause of world peace. There is one sign the Soviets can make that would be unmistakable, that would advance dramatically the cause of freedom and peace.
Reagan's intention here is to highlight that the Soviet system is not working, and that even the Soviet leaders themselves see that because they're trying to enact reforms. He brilliantly shuts down the first thing that the Soviets would use to their credit and instead uses it to support his own argument. The scene is a divided Berlin during the decline of Soviet influence. Reagan paints Gorbachev's opposition to the fall of the Berlin Wall in clear detail. In the Cold War, which never involved any direct conflict, having power and influence over other countries was one of the biggest metrics of success. It was clear to everyone at the time of the speech that the Soviet Union was failing to live up to its initial promise to the world.
In the 1950s, Khrushchev predicted, "We will bury you." But in the West today, we see a free world that has achieved a level of prosperity and well-being unprecedented in all human history. In the communist world, we see failure, technological backwardness, declining standards of health.
Reagan intends to showcase the difference in prosperity between those living under the Soviets and those living in the West. The president knows he doesn't need any substantial facts to support his argument, since his intended audience are those living under Soviet rule that are largely unsatisfied with their situation, and that it's easy to paint a picture of something better for them. Reagan's intention is to paint a harsh picture of Gorbachev. That's very clear from the speech. He intends to showcase the United States and the rest of the West as arbiters of truth and freedom, while painting the Soviet Union as a volatile, out-of-touch regime that has a clear expiration date. Regardless of whatever virtues Ronald Reagan's worldview carries, he's able to present them incredibly well through the use of rhetorical devices. This emphasizes the importance of good communication from politicians, but it also raises an important issue. Does the quality of a speech overpower the quality of its ideas? Whether it's Adolf Hitler or Winston Churchill, a great speech from a leader carries weight with the public and moves them to act accordingly. What if Gorbachev had given a speech just effectively as Reagan had? Obviously, it wouldn't negate the Soviet economic downfall, but it could change the narrative at the very least. Overall, rhetoric is a powerful tool, and Ronald Reagan clearly knew how to use it to his advantage. I want to ask one more time, what's your favorite speech from a president? And if you don't have one, then what's your favorite presidential moment? I really like looking at arguments and how people craft them, so this was a really fun video for me to work on. If you enjoy this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, because I've been working really hard and I'm really excited for the stuff that's coming up on the channel, and I hope that you guys stick with me for it. Thank you.